Good evening, good evening, good evening, all. So glad to be with you once again. On this evening, we are a minute late, technically 3 minutes late for how I like to do, but we are here. And we'll be kicking off in about a moment. It's cold outside. I assume everyone pretty much knows that. That doesn't need me to say it, but I'm going to say it again. It's cold outside. For sure, for sure. But we deal with this depending on what part of the country you live in or what part of the world you live in. It is a fact that comes for longer or shorter periods of time. For some, it's snow for days and weeks on end, months in some cases. For others, it's cooler temperatures, but not so bad. And for others, they never even see cold days. Again, depends on where you live. Um, what you see and what you experience, what we call winter time. Or are we officially in fall? We haven't quite got to winter yet, not sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into this so we can get out of here. I am happy to announce that this topic, as I occasionally mention, and I don't mention as often as I should, I am open to topic suggestions. This is a let's chat. This is a conversation for the most part. So first, let me say, feel free to type comments on YouTube or on Facebook. Um, I'm able to share the YouTube comments. I can't. I can't post. I can post my responses on Facebook, but I can't post or share. Excuse me, your comments on Facebook. But feel free to do so. Interact with each other. This is a conversation. This is not just. I'm in front of the camera, so it'd be a little strange if I just literally sit here and don't talk. That might not go well in terms of broadcasting, but the intent is to dialogue to whatever degree we can. That's the intent. But this subject matter is not my own. I've done a broadcast somewhat in this vein, and I will touch on some of those points as is required with this topic. But this comes, and it's not as exactly as was expressed by my dear friend who recommended it for reasons of when I get to how it was presented to me, you'll understand that might have been a little bit edgier than even I'm typically. I'll talk about it, but I didn't want to present it in that way. I typed it out in a way that's a little broader to allow for a bit more discussion. But we will get to certainly the recommended subject, at least in terms of the intent, because I firmly agree. As a matter of fact, they said, Gabe, this is how you talk. This is how you talk to your son. So, and it's actually true. So we'll get to it in a minute. But to what was stated or what was written, I'm trying to pull it up, but it's taking a little too long. So we'll just get to it another way here. My internet is working at the moment, and we just hope that that will continue to be the case. You see me in a sweater now, yeah, obviously, a little cooler. And of course, I said the internet is working. Oh, came up. Go figure. All right. So what just happened there? Okay. So here's what I posted a couple of hours ago, maybe. The older I get, I didn't name it that ultimately, but that's just a phrase to get us into it. If you find yourself using this phrase, then tonight's broadcast is likely for you. Here are a few questions I want you to consider. This is why I'm reading this. Do you have a community of people, children, grandchildren, which is what we'll get to, younger siblings, friends, etc., who look to you, who rely on you being there? If yes, then question two: are you preparing them to help you deal with the effects of aging, the effects of aging you are experiencing? Are you being prepared? Are they, excuse me, being prepared by you to not be able to rely on you? Listen to these words: to not be able to rely on you as much as they once did or currently do. When you retire, for example, I should have said, for example, when you retire and aren't making as much money, will they, much money, who will they call on then? Or as you consider downsizing your life for health or financial reasons, where will they go if they need a place to stay or resources or whatever? And so, and I could have given 100 examples, honestly, as I'm getting older myself. I am not old. I understand now. I have some who say, if you ain't old, which I think is just so funny. You know, I'll never be the age of the person older than me as long as we're both alive. That's just not. I'll be 70 and they'll be 90. I mean, it just, hey, you still ain't old. No, I'm close to 50, and 50 is not middle of life unless you live to be 100, which statistically most don't. So I'm past midlife, but anyway, we won't go through all of that. That's for another time. So that being said, I want to talk about aging. So I broadened the topic to aging for a reason, to give us a little bit more wiggle room of conversation, but we're going to get to that, particularly preparing our children and grandchildren if we have them, because more than likely the people in our community who are relying on us, if anyone, would be them, or a niece and nephew if you don't particularly have children. And I know many who don't have children. I've met quite a few over the years who don't have children, but they are very much a part of, and when I say don't have children, I don't mean you don't have, not only don't you have biological, you don't have foster kids, you don't have adoptive kids, you don't have any kids who are relying on you, but you have nieces and nephews potentially who rely on you, or you have, you're a godparent, right? And so, they call on you, depending on how I don't have godparents, but depending on how significant you are to their lives and to their upbringing and all of that kind of thing. We'll get to that very specifically, which is the topic that was generally presented to me. But I want to just talk about aging in and of itself, and the fact that in communities, I haven't used that word in about a year or so, but almost 2 years, but in communities, we talk about being close-knit and all of that type of thing. And whatever the construct of, I haven't said this in a while, whatever the construct of your community, if you know this, and you don't have to go bragging about it, yeah, Gabe, I'm the chief so-and-so, I'm the Medea, I'm the whatever. No, just within yourself, and people know if you are a mainstay in your community. They know if you're the home that everybody goes to at Thanksgiving. You know what I'm saying? You know this. You're the one who, if they need a couple of dollars or maybe more than a couple of dollars, if you're that person. Now, maybe you rely on someone in that space. Stay with me, because some of the things I'm going to say might sound hard, but you need, me, I'm going to say what's necessary and what's needful. I don't mean that there's never a desire to be mean, but understand I do say what's needful. Okay. So you may be the person who knows the Medea or knows the main person, and you call on them and you turn to them. Well, you need to stay with me, especially because there are some cautions, and there are some things that you need to really pay attention to, because you may not be thinking about this. You're just glad Medea's there. Or you're glad big mama or big papa, or you're glad mom and dad or grandma and grandpa are there. And this is a real subject. I wish I had known, thought about this, and I wasn't doing broadcast at that time, but uh, many years ago, before my grandmother, started declining at about 80 years old, this would have been a great topic. And I love my family dearly. I love my cousins in particular who expressly who lived in Oakland, in and around Oakland, who were raised around my grandparents. I was not, which is fine. My parents thought to do something different, and they did. And I was not raised around my grandparents, and so I don't know them like my cousins do, who were babysat by my grandmother, that type of thing. Now, I am one of the oldest in the family. My brother being older than me, and my cousin Sean being them both being the same age. Well, those two are the oldest grandkids, right? My mom is the oldest of her children, and then so that means my sister and myself are essentially a part of that oldest group, and then everyone else kind of following after that. Um, but I was raised around my grandmother or grandfather, who was about 20 years older than my grandmother. And so they were the central family. Clearly, they had 9 kids. So they were my mom being the oldest, the central family, 2-story, 3-story house, technically. Uh, Big house, big family. That's where you go for the Thanksgiving. It wasn't being moved around at that point. We would go down there as well from time to time. And everybody was kind of centralized in Oakland, California. But my grandparents got old. It's just what happens if you live, you get old. And my grandfather died many years ago. Again, he was about 20 years older than my grandmother. She died about 4 years ago. Not I moved here, and then a couple of months after, 2 or 3. Well, I moved in February, but she passed, I think, around August, somewhere in there, of 2018. So she's been gone just over 4 years, and she died at 90. And Grandpa would be an easy 110, somewhere in there. Anyway, so my point is, they were the central hub family on my mom's side. My grandfather, my grandmother, bunch of kids. So you figure 9 kids. I think every single one of their children had at least a child. So that's at least 9 grandchildren. My mother had 3, and then so obviously there's way more than 9 grandchildren, and then great grandchildren, great great grandchildren. My brother has 2 kids. I have a child. You see how that works? So there's just a lot of family, and they were a central hub. My mom and my dad are essentially that as well. My father is essentially the oldest and really the remaining of his family. His brother, sister, my aunt, uncle, and grandfather have all passed away. His aunt, his uncle, my grandfather's brother and sister have passed away. So my dad at 72 is, and also being a pastor and some other things. So my parents have become that kind of, group or couple, in this case, we turn to. I've lived at home a couple of different times in my adult life. My sister lives at home. My brother has lived at home. They've had other family members come and live with them. So they represent what I'm talking about, that group. I want to make sure you get what I'm saying. That person or people, that group, that location, my grandparents' home, my parents' home, where you're the central hub. Now I have 1 child, and again, we'll get to that later on. But the reality of it is aging, and if we live out I say reasonable, but if we live out our lives, we're all getting older, moment by moment by moment. Every passing millisecond, we're aging. And with that being said, let's deal now. Let's get into some of the not so pleasant truths and facts that we need to face. I, as of several years ago now, 2014 going into 2015, was diagnosed with high blood pressure, hypertension. I even knew it. I was having the symptoms, and I pretty much self-diagnosed, went to the doctor. He just confirmed it, to be honest with you. And I'd already began to start walking and looking for natural supplements and things anyway. But that was in part because of the stresses of the time. I won't get into, obviously won't get into that. I've talked about some of that stuff publicly and openly, but there were some stresses. But the fact is, I was in my 40s, or I was coming into, my 40s at this point. So irregardless to what I want to say and how I want to feel, part of that was age. Part of that is aging. Now, I've had, a bad back for many years because of rear end accidents and getting hit in the back playing football in high school. And so I've had that, good evening to you, for years. But I can tell that now that I've gotten older, no, I'm not old, I get it. But now that I've gotten older, those aches and those pains, my knees and things of that nature, are far more significant. Now watch this. My parents have diagnoses, medical diagnoses as well. Well, they're in their 70s. They're in their 70s. And they're very open about their age, so everybody calm down. Nobody get excited. They're very open about their age. They don't hide it. They both are going great gracefully, and they look pretty good. In doing so, obviously, you see I let the grays come on out. I had no problem with it. It's what it is. But there's surgeries now that they weren't getting before, on and on and on. Glaucoma, knee surgeries. My dad's walking with a cane, and this is a man who worked 12-hour days and days and weeks in a row. Now is walking with a cane. Aging and the impact and the effect. Now I go to the gym 5 days a week. Most of you know that. I talk about it. I post it on my Facebook page and Instagram from time to time. But it doesn't matter. You can't stop aging. Oh, you can look fantastic. Oh, you can look fantastic. Don't get it twisted. I have many people on my page who are in my parents' age range and look fantastic. Look fantastic. But attractiveness has nothing to do with the fact that your body says, hey, don't step like that. Hey, sit down a little slower. Hey, you got up a little too fast. And you used to be able to pop up and go do da-da-da-da, but now your body's like, hey, you might want to go to sleep a little earlier. Oh, no, I'm used to going to bed at 12. Then it moved to 10. Now you at the point, now it's at about 6. That's fine. And if you don't go to bed because you're stubborn, you sitting on your couch. With your chin going through your chest. And I have reached that age, and I'm an insomniac, so it doesn't really necessarily make it any better, where my chin is in my chest. I do my best to try to, be vibrant. My son and I are sitting there watching a movie, or I'm by myself when he's at his mom's, and I'm sitting here like, yeah, I'm going to watch this. Yeah, that's right. I'm excited. Gone. If I had an umpire, he's out. Well, when did that start? I don't even know. Honestly, I cannot tell you what age I was at when all of a sudden I sit down and I'm sleepy. I don't know when that happened. So I'm the guy who drove 20 plus hours straight from Texas to California and from California to Texas on no sleep. And that was just a few years ago. That wasn't a long time ago. But now I can't sit down on my darn couch. And if you want to know where to see this the most, I'm going to say it. Go to a place of worship. Most of you call church. And especially during this time of year, I'm putting this out there right now. Let that heat start coming down. Y'all come and smile and praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Bless your sister. Bless your brother. The praise team, choir, I don't care who it is. Start singing. Wonderful. The preacher get up to speak. He can't even get to his title. I'm sitting there on Sunday, and I don't have any of those people on my Facebook page at this point. And I'm looking up at that choir stand, and I note some of those individuals whose chins was in their chest also had gray hair. I'm just saying. I'm just pointing out. I'm not saying it's always the ones with gray hair, but there was a few of them. Wonderful people, I'm sure. I'm sure, just absolutely dynamic people. But them heads was in them. It's just reality. Now, I'm taking a bit of a humorous approach because I could go a little bit darker with this, but and I don't have to. You get my point. You live long enough, you get older, and you get old. At some point, you can't just keep getting older. Eventually, you get old, and you don't walk like you used to, and you don't move like you used to. And what was presented to me, and I thought was so fascinating, was because I do this, and my dear friend pointed out, well, Gabe, you should talk about that because you do this with your son. Well, I do, but let me tell you why. Because I'm 35 years older than my son. 35. Yes, I was 35 years old when that little dude came up on this planet without his mama. In other words, he was born September 27, 2009, around 3:09 p.m. St. Agnes Hospital in Fresno, California. 35, and already had some of this. So yes, I am not in a position with a child 35 years younger than me to not talk very candidly about the fact that I'm aging, and you can see it. When I pick him up from school, now I worked as a school teacher and I've worked as a teacher's aide. And when I was a school teacher in particular in Dallas, Texas, Dallas Independent School District, I would talk to the kids, and I wasn't joking. I'd tell them, I'm older than most of your parents. And they, you are? I said, yeah, and I have a son your age. And they would laugh, I was like, no, I'm serious. I have a son your age, and I'm older than most of your parents. And every once in a blue moon, I'd come across a kid, and my dad is this age, and I say, yeah, he acts like this, right? Yeah, or my mom is your age, or whatever. And I do have some. I'm not gonna name no names on Facebook, but I do have some friends who have children around my age or a child around my age, and they are my age. Not gonna say your name. I ain't gonna do it. I want to, but I ain't gonna do it. So most of you have grandkids my son's age. Most of you have grandkids my son's age, not a actual child, your grandchild. So I am compelled to in passing at times, I'm not so demonstrative, but to say, yeah, son, getting old. So what are you talking about, Gabe? Well, if I'm aging and bad vision in my family is a thing. Now, I've been blessed for 48, soon to be 49 years in about 3 months. A little over 3 months to be 49. And I've done pretty well in terms, not that I did anything, but my eyes work pretty good. I don't need glasses. But everybody in my family wears glasses. And my parents did not wear glasses until they got older. See where I'm going? And now they have to wear reading glasses. And I think my mother actually just wears them. I think she just wears them, period. Now, she's also had glaucoma surgery recently. My sister didn't need glasses. Now, she's a year younger than me, but you understand. Do you understand where I'm going with this? That these are the impacts. These are the effects. You could be just fine. You can go and men especially, because we can be bad about stuff like this. Once upon a time, and I've moved so many times, I've talked about this. I'm not going to get into it tonight. I've moved, and in my job, I work with a company to help our clients to get things when they move. I won't get into all of that. And so they brought a box out, and they, the gentleman put the box in the car at a certain spot, but then he brought something else. And so I grabbed the box, and trust me, in my head, I went, now this could go horribly wrong. If I can't handle this box, this is going to be embarrassing. I was able to handle the box, and I moved it from the hatchback area of my vehicle into the back seat. And the lady was like, "You sure you don't want somebody to help you?" And I thought to myself, maybe I should. And I'm not one of those persons who's easily embarrassed. And if I couldn't get it, I'd be like, "Yeah, come on." But people talk about moving things. Can you help me move something? And I'm not quick to jump up and move nothing. You want to know how old I'm getting? I'm not quick to reach up and grab stuff. I don't know if my back can handle it. Now, I work out and things, so I think I'm good. I think, see what I said? I couldn't even say with confidence, I'm good. That's one of the realities of aging. You go from, I got this. Moms, you remember when you'd be up and you'd be able to work a full-time job and come home and take care of your 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 15, 20, 37 children? I don't know how many you had. I don't know. You'd be able to take care of your kids and work a full-time job and be fighting sleep and cooking meals and doing this and washing clothes and all of that when you was 20, when you were 30. But you start making statements, you start making comments to yourself and maybe out loud, as my mama did. In particular, when it came to cooking, y'all ordered a go in there and cook. And she kind of sprung that on us because I wasn't learning how to cook. And then all of a sudden, boy, go in there and cook. I can boil some water. I can use a microwave. And I do those things very well. By the way, I am not an absent-minded person. At least I wasn't. I have had some moments, I'm not happy about this at all, where I have left my keys in the front door. I'm laughing not to cry, you know what I'm saying? I am very meticulous and check it 2 or 3 times and do all of that and all this, but I have left my keys in the front door and went to bed. And I lived in an apartment. I've done it here too. And I live in a duplex. I mean, my neighbor could have walked by and saw my keys hanging out the door. I double, triple check now, but I have a couple of times. Matter of fact, I had to put up a hook to hang my keys. So once I can see it right now, bam, yep, the keys are right there. It got so to I actually put a hook up in my room so I can hang my keys in my room so I know where they at. I am not an absent-minded person by any means. I can hold a mental Rolodex. I can hold things in my mind, schedules and things now. Not so much. And these are the types of things that I'm asking you. Are you sharing this with that community of people who come around you? You're the one who cooks for everything. You're the one who they come to for a place to sleep or live. You're the one they come to for advice. You're the one they come to for a piece of money. You're the one they come to for a piece of bread. You're the one. And are you preparing, or are you so scared? Yeah, I said it. I was going to ease up to it, but I ain't got that kind of time. Are you scared that they're going to somehow not see you as Superwoman like they used to see you? Superman like they used to see you? Now, I'm 35 years older than my son. So all that strength that dad might have demonstrated 10 years ago when he was 3, and I was 38, I got a little bit of it. I maybe have a little bit more because of going to the gym, but I'm not trying to demonstrate. No, I tell him, yeah, go in there and get that, boy. And that was, looking back, my parents preparing me. Now, my mother, a bit on the stubborn side. I love you, mama. A bit on the stubborn side. So when it came to driving, oh, I'll drive. I'll drive. My dad was like, after all these years of driving, let them kids drive. He will not drive unless he absolutely has to. So where did I get this from? Obviously, I got it from my dad in particular. My mom has come around, 71 years old. God has blessed her. She's blessed. But there is a point and a need to educate the community around us for those of us who are getting older. Hey, man, time is winding up. That's what I see as a kid. Get your business straight. Time is winding up. There's no time to waste. Time is winding. Time is winding up. Most of us think Jesus is going to come back before we die. But the truth of the matter is, they were saying that and singing that song 30 years ago, 40, 35 years ago. We were singing that song when I was a kid. I've been out of high school 30 years. 30 as of this year. No. This is 2022. No, as of this year, June 3rd of this year, I graduated 30 years ago from high school, not from 8th grade, not from 5th grade. I'm old enough to be able to say I graduated 13 years ago. And some of you are able to say you graduated. I'm not going to say a minute ago. Okay, you graduated a minute ago. I really believe, obviously I do this, as I've stated, there is a need for us, but there is a, I really believe in our communities, there is a need to do this. There's a need to do this, hey, I wasn't going to say, I'm not trying to say, but yeah, some of us has been, I mean, I knew I know people who've gone to 50-year class reunions. So if you graduate at 18, do the math. You have to be 68 years of age. Okay? So you understand. I'm just saying, and I know people who probably gone to their 60 reunion, if there's even any. I'm sorry, I'll leave it alone. Okay, so I'll leave that alone. But I know people who've gone to their 50th school reunion, class reunion. I got 20 more years before that, and it'll come like this, in a snap. So are you preparing those who you want to rely on you? And again, this ain't just your children. Now I'll get to that in a minute. I mean, if you got siblings, and your siblings come to you for advice and things of that nature, and that's the, watch this now. Why is this important, Gabe? Because that's the dynamic of your relationship. You better never die, or they better die before you. You understand how serious this is? If you know you're the cog in the wheel, if you're the spoke, you're that main spoke in the wheel, you can't die. You can't get sick. You can't go away. You have to outlive everybody you're supporting and you're substantiating. Support them. I'm not telling you not to support them. I'm just telling you, think. It's good for now, but are you, watch this, watch this. Are you teaching them anything? Are you teaching them? Are you giving them the tools to be able to outlive you? And COVID taught me, because it was so surreal. People die all the time. Unfortunately, people die, statistically, people die every day from 100 reasons. Every day. Freak accidents to intentional situations. Oh, people die of sicknesses every day. Every day. From stillborn babies to the oldest of old. 90 and 80. There are people who are 90 years old and have outlived their children and grandchildren, unfortunately. And I would never want to be that person. But they have buried a child, a grandchild. I have some very dear friends who know that situation, unfortunately, who have buried a child and a grandchild. And I pray for them every day. Every day. I need to get in contact with my dear friend and see how she's doing and how they're doing, actually. And that's a heavy burden to bear, to have to bury a child and a grandchild. That's a whole nother broadcast. But that's not the typical. That's not the norm. And so if people come to you and rely on you, even again, if it's your siblings or your friends or whoever, the people in your community, just know, and I'm sure it's true, they trust that you're going to be there. They trust that you've got them. You can't die. And I'm dead serious. Do you understand? You can't die. And if you don't, and if, yeah, but Gabe, it's my sibling. Like, how do I tell my sibling you need to grow up? Well, you may not use that phrase, but you understand the sentiment. If they have to come to you for every ounce of advice they ever get, they can't make any decisions on their own. You're going to have to really think about the fact either you need to outlive them or they're in deep trouble. They're in deep trouble. It's great to have a support system. That's what we call it at work. It's great to have that. You want to have that. I have a magnificent support system. Absolutely ridiculous. It is amazing how great my support system is. And, you know, I have used it. But I can say with great certainty, those people who have supported me, even recently, you know me, I'm not bashful or ashamed about anything. Those people who have supported me recently, they know I have the capability and the capacity to take care of myself. And I'm not knocking anybody, because I'm also admitting that I have lived with my parents as a grown man, with my son, and before he was born. I have needed financial assistance from my parents and my siblings. Oh, no. You're not going to get any shame from me. I'm going to put it out there. I have needed financial support. On occasion, I have needed advice. But I can also tell you, and anybody who knows me knows, that is because circumstances at the moment, not ongoing. And I'm not trying to knock if you need it ongoing. But if you need it, that's why I told you to stay with me. If you're not that person people come to, you need to start asking yourself some questions. Are you ready to not have Big Mama, to not have Pawpaw, to not have Uncle, to not have Auntie, to not have Big Bro there? Are you learning principles? Are you prepared to handle your bills? Are you prepared to handle your relationships and not have to always turn to your support? At some point or another, I'm going to have to raise that young man over there in his room right now to be able to wipe my butt and take me to my doctor's appointments and make sure, like I do for him, he can do for me, and make sure I get all my medications. And when I'm stubborn and I don't want to lay my darn butt down because I know I need to rest because I got a doctor's appointment the next day, I need him to be strong enough in his personality to say, Dad, I love you, lay down. Doctor's appointment is at 4 o'clock in the morning. I need you to go to bed. And be tough enough to love me and tell me, lay down. But if I don't empower him by giving him the information of my aging, how is he going to know to do that? Am I so arrogant? Am I so prideful that I won't do that? That I can't do that? That I want to allow my own flesh and blood to do that? Now, Gabe, what if you get married again or whatever? Okay, true. But do you think my son would be completely off the hook? I'm his dad. I'm his dad. Now, I am not one to obligate anybody to anything. That's just me. But my hope is that I will raise him in a way I don't have to speak words of obligation. My hope is that he will see that I valued his life and raised him to be a caretaker and to be able to reach out and help. And if it's not me that he is taking care of, he's taking care of his mother. Now, his mother's got 2 other kids. I get it. And they are older than him. I get it. But I am not exempting him from at least being there for her. And I've actually already told him that, and he's 13. Now, this begs the question. Now, that's the part that my dear friend wanted me to cover. But this begs the question. I hope you're ready. You know me. I got to do this. What have you done in developing your support system? I don't care how old you are, 70, 90, 22, 18. I don't think I have anybody under 18 on my Facebook page in particular. Have you developed a support system? Have you developed a comprehensive support system? Who do you trust with your life? Now, this probably could be a whole broadcast by itself. I get it. But I just want to ask this because to me, this subject begs the question. Do you have a support system? If you're married, cool, great. Do you have children? Are your children a part of your support system, or are they just drains on your pockets? Yeah, I know, I said it, and I know I ruffled your feathers. You weren't expecting that, but I got to do my job here. Is your children a part of your support system, or do they just drain your pockets? You can't even retire because you know the next one is coming with their hand out, mama, daddy, can you spare a dime? Have you gotten your siblings to a point where you are nothing more than their next piece of money? Or their, hey, bro, I lost another apartment. Can I come to live with you? Hey, sis, I destroyed another car because I'm driving like a blithering idiot. Can I drive your car? Hey, this is the only car I got. Oh, man. Oh, sis. Oh, bro. Oh, big cuz. Oh, man, I just need to use your car. I got 3 kids, and I need to use your car. Well, didn't I help you get that last 18 cars? Oh, you going to throw that in my face? Oh, man. Yeah. How many more cars I got to buy for you? How many more resources do I need to connect you to? How many times do I got to keep telling you that you need to take some classes on money management so you stop burning through your money and giving it to a people you call friends who are not your support? See why I'm asking? I know this is tough, and you said, Gabe, you wanted me to stay. Now you're going to slam me? I'm not slamming you. I'm trying to encourage you. If you're one of those people who are turning to Big Mama, and Big Mama is 80, and she's on a pension, what are you doing? She's on a pension. She's getting Social Security. It's barely keeping, and I have had these conversations with men and women in their 80s, in their 70s. And they tell me the truth, that knucklehead boy keeps taking my money. And they say some other words sometimes that I'm not going to say. I have a client I'm going to see tomorrow. Obviously, I'm not going to say no names. And she's got a couple of them living in her low-income senior citizen, she's older than my parents, living in her senior citizen domicile. Draining her food, eating up her food. Yeah, I was going to eat this for lunch. I prepared this for me, and it's all gone. Grown son with grown son. Got a grown grandson and a grown son living in a... Again, I've done it. I live with my parents. Now, that grandson got a job. That son don't have no job. I'll leave that right there for your brain to work on. Oh, Mom, I'm looking. Now, Mom is 73 and has health issues. But who is Mom turning to for support? I want to be in a position, and I've talked to my brother about this and others. I am looking forward to being in a position so my parents, who are retired, so my parents, they may not come to Louisiana. I get that. But I should be able to, as my siblings are doing, to do for them. I look forward to the time. If that means wiping my dad's butt, so be it. He wiped mine. Ain't got no problem with that. Now, he might, but I don't. It would be my pleasure to be able to do and be able to be there for my parents. It's the least I can do. I'm alive because of them. And I'm a part of their support. Now, these people trust me. They trust my relationship with God, and I won't get into, some of you know me, so you know what I mean, but they actually trust my relationship with God to the point of spiritual advice. Hey, you know, if that's what I can do to support them, then that's what I can do. And that's what I choose. That's what I do. If that's what I can do, that's what I do. I'm blessed to be able to do that by God. I'm grateful. But I'm dead serious. Yes, we got to be thinking about, as those of us who are parents who are getting older and our kids, but while we're able to support our kids, have we raised our kids to be able to support themselves and just maybe us? And just maybe us. Now, I'm not married, okay? But if my future wife is listening, there will be a room in my house that I'm going to buy for my parents. So if you so happen to be watching me right now or watching this back at some point, there's going to be a room in my house for my parents. They may never use it. I get it. But there will be a room that could easily be converted from a guest room to my parents' room. Both, one or both. Simple, easy. It ain't even going to be a question. And I would hope that the person I marry would be of the same attitude. We might have to have two rooms for her parents and my parents. That'll be an interesting house. Woo. My son will probably be like, Dad, I'm not coming there. I love Grandma and Grandpa, but I ain't coming. Son, I want to move with you. I'm going to move with you. The Bible actually talks about honoring our father and mother and is often viewed as, you know, living a life that they raised us to live, and that's true. But there is in the Jewish community and in Semitic nations still to this day where you pay homage and you provide for your, particularly mothers, but it is what it is. You provide for your aging parents. But parents, we got to be willing to let our children in on our needs. I know you are mama and dada. I know that you are the one, your top dog or whatever. I get it. Okay, cool. And you raised them to take care of themselves. Did you leave yourself out of the equation? You raised them to be so independent that they don't even think to take care of you? They could care less if you sink or swim? You did such a great job that you never thought that maybe you might get old? Come on. I'm not doing that great a job. I'm not going to do it. I'm telling you right now. I let that kid know. And let me tell you why, and I'm done, but let me tell you why that's also important. And I think we see a generation struggling. My niece is 31, 32. My nephew is 28, somewhere in there. 27, 28, somewhere in there. Now, my son is technically supposed to be in their generation since, you know, right? That's his cousins. But they're grown. My son has siblings younger than his cousins. But the reality of it is, and I actually had this conversation with my stepkids, my son's brother and sister. There is a mandate and a responsibility. And I think that part of what we're seeing is, I can't tell you what percentage, but I think young people kind of staying away from jobs is because they don't have any thought in their head that they're going to have to bear responsibility for their aging mothers and fathers. Now, part of that could be because grandmothers are my age. And I mean like 50 with a grown child and a grown grandchild. You see what I'm saying? I don't mean just you got a grandchild. No, I mean you're 50. Your daughter is 30, 35. It means you was 15. Hey, unfortunately, this is true statistically. I ain't gonna say no names. And your daughter's only 15, 16 years younger than you, and you got a grown kid, grown grandchild, and you're 50, and that's fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I hope they're wonderful people. But if they didn't see any kind of work ethic and they didn't learn in the community that we take care of each other, grandma holding it down. True, she took care of mama. She took care of me. Grandma was my babysitter. Cool, got it. But somewhere, somebody better pass on to that grandchild. I know you're now 18 and you want to lay up in grandma's house, and when grandma kick you out, go to mama's house, and when mama kick you out, go to the boyfriend or girlfriend's house, and when they kick you out, go back to grandma's house. No, fool. Yeah, I said it. You need to get yourself together because grandma ain't going to always be 50. Mama ain't going to always be 35. Ain't going to always happen. And if grandma lived to be 75, 25 years later, if mama is 60, you see how that math works? There's going to be a need. Now you got a 60-year-old mama and a 75-year-old grandmother, and you grown. You're going to have to ante up, bro. You're going to have to make it happen. You in your 40s. You're going to have to potentially take care too. We didn't think about it. Now my son is so young, I got time. But I don't know if we thought about it. And I see these 18, and I'm not saying that at 20 years old they're ready to take care of aging. No, but I'm saying when I see them staying away from the responsibilities that they said they wanted, and all they're thinking about is J's, and all they're thinking about is tattoos, which is now people getting tattoos like you buy clothes. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. It is what it is. And they thinking about revelry and enjoy. Yeah, I understand. Enjoy. I would tell a teenager, enjoy yourself. But when you get up into the 20s now and you got aging parents who are living longer, remember the life expectancy has grown. I go to the gym and I'm seeing people easily in their 70s and maybe older in the gym with me. And outworking me relative to our age groups. So you're going to have to take care longer. Aging is a real issue. And if people are living, my grandmother died at 90. My grandfather died in his 80s. Long. And they weren't healthy people. They weren't people who worked out and ate healthy. My mother was taking my grandmother to dialysis 3 times a week for 10 years. 10 years. My mother did such a great job. That lady survived dialysis from 80 to 90 for 10 years. Wow. And nursing homes are not always an option. Let me just throw that in. As I close, nursing homes ain't always an option. They are extremely expensive. Extreme. Prohibitively expensive. Now, I have a question here from Mr. Zamoris, Mr. Z, let's call him by his nickname. Why every time when elders of the family die, family becomes more and more estranged and antisocial? Well, first of all, the question is assuming that they weren't already estranged and antisocial. One of the things that happens is as you move out from a Medea, or you move out from a main mother, typically mother, or father or couple, you have people who come around each other, but they don't really necessarily associate or socialize with each other. It is more a respect for the older person. In particular, I know I have people of different nationalities watching, but let me just say this, for African Americans. Now, I live in the South, so that can be different here. I don't know. I haven't gone to a family reunion or anything like that since I've been here. But from where I'm from, it is very easily to come together at a holiday, for example, Thanksgiving. And yet, I don't really have any real meaningful, and I'm saying this with a few cousins on my Facebook page, I don't, other than the ones I was raised with, I don't really know my cousins. And they don't know me. They don't. I ain't mad at them for not, I got a degree in psychology and I do, pastoral counseling and all this kind of thing. I can see on their Facebook pages, they could probably use my help. But as I've told a couple of dear friends of mine, they don't know me. And I don't know them. So I'm not in their thought about coming. And of course, they're my family. I would talk with them for free. And I'm not bragging, but I'm not bad at what I do. I'm not bad. I've helped several people. So, but they don't know me like that. They don't know me like that. I can say it for them. They don't have to say it. They don't know me like that. Yeah, we cousins, but we don't. And I'm not. It's not even really antisocial or estranged. I just think we don't communicate like that. And that kind of communication takes effort. We don't really think about, and I'm gonna say this with great respect for my mother and others like her. When you got that big mama who pulls everybody together, I don't even think we think about what it takes for her to do that. And she may do it so effortlessly, we don't think about what it takes to pull together a family reunion. We don't think what it takes, not just food and entertainment. No, to be able to, sometimes she's got to be able, and I say she because you don't really hear men doing this, she's got to be able to like fix rifts between family members. That's how deep she's got to be. Now, we laugh when we watch Tyler Perry's plays and movies, but in truth, Medea, that kind of role, it's huge, not just to getting people to come together, but to actually be together and not be estranged and antisocial while she's still alive, and sometimes the male. You don't really see men doing it. Men don't really pull their families together. I'm just telling you. We don't. We're very comfortable with the family just being parted or whatever. We may even say, it's been a long time since we've seen the family. Game on, click. So I want to make sure I give honor where honor is due. It is often women who pull families together and keep them together. And I might as well go on and say it. It'd be them darn dudes who be doing inappropriate things with some of them family members that cause some of that estrangement. Yeah, I said it. I said it. And Big Mama is so good at it, she's able to have the molester and the molested in the house together. And nobody kill each other until somebody drinks. Okay, that's another time, another conversation. Just don't let there be alcohol. I don't know what that is. A lot of truth starts coming out when people start sipping. And then you start finding out that your brother is your cousin, or your cousin is your brother, actually, or your dad or your uncle. But it is often that main family or that mother, typically mother or grandmother, who kind of keeps everybody together. It's what I see, at least in the Black community. Now, somebody else outside of my community, help me out. And by the way, I'm very familiar with the Hispanic community, and it's pretty much the same there too. I grew up around Hispanics. My son is mixed. It is pretty much the same there too. Now, they're fierce with theirs. They're very fierce. They'll come together, but again, just don't let there be alcohol. I'm just being honest. Don't let there be alcohol, because man, you start getting some truths that you don't really want to hear, or you want to hear and there's something wrong with you. But anyway, so that's my spiel. As we get older, if we have people who we support, with wisdom, with finances, with a place to stay, with our cars, with whatever the resources we are for them and we give to them. We need to let them know as much as anybody, I'm not endless. I'm not God. I'm not endless. And I don't understand why you would be shamed in any way. I don't understand why you would be hesitant to say it. I know in the Black community, going back a couple of generations, there was this taboo thing. You don't even talk about anything that sounds like death, because if you do, you sound like you're dying. You know, I ain't gonna always be here. What's wrong with you? Don't talk like that. I'm gonna pray right now. Oh, Jesus. Oh, no. It's every man wants to die, then the judgment. A time to be born and a time. Hey, why do you bring this up all the time? Because my job is to speak truths that help us move our lives. You can't move your life forward if you're walking around trying to convince yourself you're never going to die. Like, what's wrong with you? No disrespect. What's wrong with you? You're going to die. And death is a good thing. To live is Christ. And if you're a Christian, death is a good thing. To die is gain. But how you live matters. That's what this broadcast is about. That's what most of my broadcasts are about. How you live matters. And in this case, do you have a support system? And then what part do you play in that support system? Are you the key to the support system? Or are you a person who needs that support system? And that's fine. But don't always be there. Set some goals in your life. Pass on to the younger generation. You know, I want my son to see me a productive person in this world. And I don't mean just working a job and making money and buying things. No, productive in what I say. His dad is doing a broadcast on Thursday called Let's Chat. He may not go this far, but I want him to see that he can be productive, that he can do things to benefit other people, because you might just have to walk back through those doors. I literally just read that in my devotional reading in Luke chapter 16. Jesus literally talked about a wise servant being able to go back through, and in his parable, he talked about how that servant, that manager, servant, was about to be fired, but he was able to go back to those who owed his master. And he called that person ultimately wise. I try to operate my life with wisdom. I try. I'm not perfect at it. And I don't brown nose anybody, but I try to create an environment around me where people can feel comfortable to access me as a resource. I don't got a lot of money, but access me as a resource of information and knowledge and understand. I'm not a know-it-all either, but what I do know, I share. And people sometimes get mad at me because I share it for free. I share it for free. If you want to give anything, you see that information scrolling across the bottom. That's purely up to you. I am blessed by God. A laborer is worthy of his hire. You didn't hire me. I'm doing this by my own intention. So you don't have to give me anything. If the Holy Spirit lays it upon your heart, do what you feel led to do. Again, do what you feel led to do. That's it. I do this for free and have been doing it for a long time. A long time. I've been doing this long before. I really am old. Long before internet, long before social media, I have been doing this. And I do it joyously. I do it tirelessly, though I am getting older, so I do get tired. I do get tired, but I do it. I'll get off here and get on a phone call and be up for hours and got to get up in the morning and get my son to school, because that's what I do. I want to be a support for as many people as I can. Because one day, who knows? You'll see old Gabe with a walker, in a wheelchair, blind. I don't know. I don't know what age and time is going to bring me. I'm going to just talk about me. I don't know what age and time is going to bring me. I go where I will. I have the energy to do so. I can drive, I can see, I can hear. But what in time if my hearing goes? What if in times my vision goes and I can't see? I got to walk through a house and feel my way through. I'm going to have built up a support system who will not misguide me, who will not let me step off a curb and get hit by a car. You see what I'm saying? And if you are, lastly, a bitter person, if you are a person who says, Gabe, I don't care nothing about all of that, don't get old. Don't get old. If you want to see bitterness, go to a nursing home. If you want to see people who are bitter, go to a nursing home. Go to a nursing home. If you believe you can do this life from birth to death without anyone, congratulations. You're lying to yourself. You are fooling yourself. And I can easily convince you and hopefully change your mind. Go to a nursing home and visit people who are in nursing homes who had the same attitude you now have. I pray you don't have it. But if you're listening to me and you say, Gabe, I don't have a support group, I don't need a support group, ma'am, sir, don't get old. Well, since it's an inevitability, go to a nursing home. Spend some time with some people who cry and weep because their families won't come, or because they don't have any families, because they never built a support group. Anyone. They always had enough money. They didn't need anybody. They always had enough of things. They had a nice home, and now they're in a nursing home. Oh, they have a nice bed. They may have a room to themselves because they have the finances to afford that. They may be in an upscale nursing home. Don't get me wrong. There's some upscale nursing homes, but they are miserable because they are alone. And as they age and they move closer and closer to death, their lives are as miserable as a prisoner on death row. You heard it here. I won't obviously be here next Thursday because it's Thanksgiving. I may do a special Happy Thanksgiving type of thing, but just in case I don't, Happy Thanksgiving to all broadcasters on Thursday, and Thanksgiving is always on Thursday. I wish you a wonderful celebration. I know this is a time of grief and depression, and the cold weather doesn't make it any better. But I just pray that maybe this is the subject that you needed to hear. You need to build that support group. You don't want another Thanksgiving. Now, I'm likely going to be by myself, and don't weep and cry. That's not bad. I have a very good support group, but I've spent a few Thanksgivings by myself. It's quite okay. Oh, absolutely, Miss Sherry. They are terribly lonely in nursing homes. But I have a great support group. I can call my siblings anytime, my parents, on and on. I'll see my son the next day, that type of thing. So I'm good, but I want to wish you a wonderful Thanksgiving. I hope, especially for Christians, you will stop and give some thanks to God, not just when you eat your meal. I really do. I hope you will stop and say, Lord, I thank you. And not just Thanksgiving Day, but sometime before that you will really honor him and praise him for how God is good as he's been to you, even if life is hard right now. Trust me, I know. Keep me in your prayers. I can't get into why, just because I have people on my Facebook that are impacted by what I do for a living. I'll just leave it right there. So I can't really say too much. They might be watching this, but just keep me and our company in your prayers, that God will work all things according to his will. I love what God has blessed me to do, and I truly believe it was him that guided me to this company and into this kind of work. And hey, we'll trust him all the way. So love you, and we'll see you after the holidays, unless I jump on and do something quick here. Have a great one.